Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirana from Holistic Wellness with Tracy. Today I wanted to share with you 4 delicious meals created around a few common farmers market ingredients: zucchini, cucumbers, and kale. I love eating seasonally, and the easiest way to do that is to shop your local farmers market. If that's not an option for you, Google what veggies are in season in your area and find them at your local grocery store. Today, I'm focusing on a few meals that I made recently using 3 veggies that you can usually find at a farmer's market in mid-summer. You can find the recipes on my blog post, which I will link down in the description box. I'm starting with an easy one: creamy greens and beans. This comes together really fast for a quick dinner, or you can make it ahead for lunches all week. In a stock pot, I softened some diced onions in a little olive oil, and while the onions were cooking, I removed the big stems from the kale. If you don't like kale, you can often find beautiful Swiss chard this time of year, and you're welcome to use that instead. Once the onions were soft, I added some garlic. I gave that a stir and let it cook for just a few seconds. I rough chopped my kale and added it to the pot with a splash of broth so it could begin to wilt. To make it creamy, I took some of the white beans that I'm going to use and I added it to the broth and blended them together. This makes the soup feel a little creamy, a little richer, but without adding any cream, really without adding anything. I added the bean broth and the remainder of the box of broth, simmered it for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then added the rest of beans. Voila, it's done. Delish. Now let's talk zucchini. There is so much zucchini showing up this time of year and so many delicious ways to use it. So I'm going to share 2 zucchini recipes with you today, starting with a super yummy zucchini casserole. I started by chunking up a few small zucchini. I sprinkled the zucchini with a little salt and then just left it sit in a tea towel lined colander for about 20 minutes or so to let some of the moisture come out. While the zucchini was sitting, I used that time to prep the other ingredients. In a bowl, I cracked an egg, which I also happened to pick up at the farmer's market, added a splash of cream, some finely diced onion, a clove of garlic, a little salt, a little pepper. And then I flavored it up with some red pepper flakes and a little bit of oregano. To add some freshness, I then added fresh herbs because I love fresh herbs. I used thyme, parsley, and basil here. I then set that aside and went back to the zucchini. I could see the water seeping out, so I blotted that off with a tea towel. Doing this keeps the casserole from being too watery. I then combined everything together along with a handful of shredded cheddar cheese and some grated Parmesan. I put this in a greased 9x9 baking dish, covered it with some foil, and popped it in the oven at either 350 or 375, now I don't remember. I cooked it for about 20 minutes just to start the zucchini getting tender while I began creating the crispy topping. In a small bowl, I mixed up panko, some grated Parmesan, some pepper, a little olive oil, and a sprinkle of Italian seasoning. Mix that together, and then once the zucchini was starting to get tender, I pulled it out of the oven, added the panko topping, recovered it, and put it back in the oven for about another 20 minutes or so. If you want your zucchini super soft, maybe consider cooking it for like another 30 minutes. Just test it out, stick a fork in it. Once the zucchini is done, that's when you're going to want to remove the foil and just toast it under the broiler for a minute or two, just to add a little color to the panko. Just watch it closely. It goes from nicely brown to burnt very fast. And I tell you, this was beyond delicious. I will definitely be making this again. You can serve it with a grilled protein, really whatever. Have it as a wonderful side dish for any summer meal. And then I made stuffed zucchini boats, which can be a yummy side, or just have a couple of them and call it your entree. This dish is perfect for using up leftovers because you can stuff the zucchini with really almost anything, from mashed potatoes to rice to taco meat, really whatever you have on hand. But since I didn't have any leftovers to use, I made a simple rice stuffing, starting with some onion, which I softened in olive oil over medium heat. Once the onions were getting soft, I added a clove or two of minced garlic, turned the heat way down, and while that cooked for a few more minutes on low heat, I prepped my zucchini. I cut off the ends, sliced them lengthwise, and then used a knife and a spoon to hollow out the center, removing just the seeded area and leaving a nice boat to fill with my stuffing. Once I had the centers scooped out, I chopped it up and added that to the pan with the onion and garlic. No sense in throwing it away. I stirred that in and then added some rice and water, and then I just allowed this to simmer until the rice was done. While the rice was cooking, I oiled the zucchini with some olive oil and then just popped them on a grill pan for a bit. I like to get some char marks on the zucchini, and this also begins the cooking process so that they're a little tender when you stuff them. That way you don't have to bake them for too long. They've already cooked a little bit. And to finish off the rice, I added some tomato sauce, a little grated Parmesan, some fresh basil. Then I just stuffed the boats, topped them with a little more grated cheese, and I baked them in my toaster oven. You could also use your regular oven at like 350 for about 10 minutes or so until the cheese is melty. Tell me these don't look good. And next I'm moving on to cucumbers, because who doesn't love a good cucumber salad? How about cucumbers, chickpeas, snap peas, and shrimp salad? Sounds like the perfect summer meal to me. So I started by cleaning some shrimp, then adding a little balsamic vinegar, olive oil, salt. I'm going to let this marinate while I prep the rest of the salad. I used a regular cucumber and a small pickling cucumber. You know what I always say, use what you have. I lightly peeled the cucumbers and then chunked them up. My large one had a lot of seeds, so I just used a spoon to scoop out some of them, and then added some red onion, but you could also use scallions or chives. I then took a handful of snap peas, removed the membrane, chopped them up, and added those in. If you don't have peas, you could use asparagus, raw zucchini, radishes, green beans, or just skip the second veggie altogether. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you. For some pungent flavor, I added in a clove of minced garlic, and as soon as I did this, I happened to look over and I realized that I had asparagus sitting right on my sink, so I decided to grab some and add that in. I mean, hey, why not? More veggies is always good. Then I added salt, pepper, balsamic vinegar, really any vinegar will do, and some olive oil. I stir this up really good because I want to make sure that the garlic was well distributed. I could have made the dressing in a separate bowl, but yeah. And I normally would have added a whole can of chickpeas, but I had a partial in the fridge, so I just used that. Close enough. And then I popped the salad into the fridge while I cooked up the shrimp. Shrimp are so easy to overcook. They really only need a minute or two on each side, and then they're done. As soon as they lose that translucent gray color, I pull them off the heat. And because this is going to be a cold salad, I transfer them to a plate so I could just pop that plate in the fridge and they would chill rather quickly before I add them to the rest of the salad. If your shrimp are bigger than mine, you might even want to cut them in half. It's up to you. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to click the like button and also make sure you're subscribed. I love finishing a dish with fresh herbs, so to this salad, I added chives, parsley, and dill from my garden. Now tell me you wouldn't enjoy this on a hot summer evening. It's the perfect summer dinner. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you will give these recipes a try. You won't be disappointed, I promise. Have a great day.